Picture this. It's 1982, and you're a young man by the name of Howard Scott Warshaw, and you're relatively new to the video game industry and working for Atari. You've made 2 popular games so far, so you've got some experience under your belt. You're working in your office, finishing up the last bit of work when your phone rings. It's the CEO of Atari, Ray Kasser. He wants you to create a game for the latest Hollywood blockbuster, E.T. the Extraterrestrial. This is an amazing opportunity to show off your skills and produce a great game for the company. You want to make a game that stands out from the saturated video game market. But there's a catch. You have 5 weeks to make a game from scratch. And little do you know it, but you're about to crash the entire video game industry. This is the story of the worst video game ever made, E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Hello and welcome back to the Odds and Events podcast, where we unravel the odd and investigate the eventful. I'm your host, Lainey, and with me are my co-hosts, Allie.
Yo.
Chris.
Hello, friends.
And Delta.
Hey, guys.
And today we're going to be talking about the worst Atari game ever made and its funeral. So, have you all heard about this game? I'm assuming you've got to.
I mean, I've heard of E.T. I'm not aware there's a video game, but I can't imagine it's anything beyond, like, the Lion King game. Like, that's what I'm picturing in my head.
Oh, that's so funny that you would say that, because I have, like, a reference to the Lion King later in the script.
Knew it, yeah.
Hell yeah, I love that.
Yay. I have heard of this game. I have heard the horrible things about it, too, so I'm actually very excited to talk about this.
You, Ellie? I know you know, because you've already called it out in a different episode.
Oh, yeah. What are you talking about?
As an avid gamer, I can confirm.
Have you ever played it?
No, I have not played it.
I want to find, like, an emulator, because that game is now very expensive if you can find it.
My cousin has one. Yeah, he was one of those little shits who got whatever he wanted when he was a kid. Like, it was not fair.
I don't think he liked that game, probably.
I hope he didn't. He doesn't deserve nice things.
Oh my god, okay.
Hey, I'm loving the drama.
I guess we hate the cousin here, alright. And I actually, like, it wasn't until last year I just learned about this, because my husband is into all kinds of, like, tech and video game history. And so it was him that showed me this stuff. So I guess I'm, like, dedicating this episode to my husband. Hey, love you. But before we get into today's episode, I want to acknowledge our sources. We've got a lot of them today: fandom.com, Wikipedia, the YouTube channels FM1156 and Weird History, and the documentary Atari Game Over, and Howard Warshaw's book, Once Upon Atari, How I Made History by Killing an Industry. It's a very fascinating book, by the way, so, like, if you happen to find it, you should give it a read, because it's fun.
I think that's a little pretentious of him to think that he was the one who killed it.
To be fair, he definitely gets labeled. He gets that label, so I think he gets to claim it.
He contributed quite a bit.
Yeah, he did. Like, I think that's the straw that broke the camel's back, so to say. But, like, it was not just him by any means. Oh, and also a huge thank you to the Internet Archives, because I would not be able to do my deep dives and, you know, answer my questions and quandaries I have about this world without it, so thank you. And fun fact before we begin. Did you know the concept for the film E.T. was based on an imaginary friend Steven Spielberg created after his parents divorced in 1960?
Wow, what a loser.
Well, you know what? That was probably... that was okay. I'm going to say I think that was probably an appropriate response to a child dealing with divorce.
I'm sorry. It's super hot over here and I hate it. Jesus shit. Thunder.
Oh my god. Holy, that's really loud thunder, because I'm hearing it loud.
He's coming for you. Still going. He's coming for you.
You've upset Steven Spielberg.
I'm sorry.
Apologize now.
It is his main tool. Steven Stormberg.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
It's a misspelling. It's actually Steven Spellberg, you know?
Oh, I like that.
Ooh,
he's been a wizard this whole time.
If you've never watched or heard about E.T. the Extraterrestrial, here's a little brief summary. In a California forest, alien botanists collect flora samples when government agents appear, forcing one alien to flee. Left behind, the alien hides in a suburban tool shed, where 10-year-old Elliot discovers him. Elliot lures the alien to his room with Reese's Pieces, and here's another fun fact. Originally, they wanted M&Ms to be in it, but M&M's was like, ew, no thanks. This is gonna be too scary for kids, and we don't want to be related to that. So they said no, and don't they feel silly now? And so he names him E.T. after the alien learns English. E.T. and Elliot form a psychic bond, sharing experiences and emotions.
That doesn't sound appropriate.
A little bit, but I don't know. How old's this guy?
What, the
Well-
ET, the extraterrestrial? I mean, anything beyond... I mean, he's an alien botanist, so he can't be 10.
I mean, he has a job.
He's probably an adult, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, like he's old enough to have a job and travel to other planets. I think
He probably
he's
pays
way
taxes.
too old for Elliot.
Hold on a minute. There are 16-year-old children out there who can drive, so that's
Yeah, but...
I don't know
Okay,
about
but they're
that.
not botanists, Dalton.
And even if...
Hey, you never know what they can learn on YouTube.
Even if
True.
we say ET conservatively is 16, he's still a 16-year-old teenager emotionally bonding with a 10-year-old. It's still a little
maybe it's
weird.
like his little brother.
Oh my god, he's gonna like start feeling things when he sees alien boobies.
Yeah, it's gonna be... Yeah,
That's
gross.
uncomfortable.
We're going away from the story. Okay.
So anyway, back to the ET story
So
about how he
yes.
rides a bike.
Well, E.T. doesn't ride the bike. I don't think his legs could reach, right? Anyways, so E.T. builds a device to phone home using household items, but his health declines. On Halloween, Elliot and E.T. call for rescue in the forest, but E.T. is later found dying. Government agents quarantine E.T. and Elliot, separating their link. E.T. briefly dies, but revives when his species returns for him. Elliot and friends help E.T. escape a government chase using bicycles. At his starship, E.T. says heartfelt goodbyes before departing, leaving a rainbow in the sky.
Yay, pride!
Probably should have started. Oh my god. We probably should have started with a spoiler warning, just in case people actually do want to watch this
This
movie.
thing
I'm sorry.
from...
If it's
No.
Yeah, no, it's from 1982. I'm sorry.
So
You had
is
a lot
Raiders of the
time.
Lost Ark. Well, it's 81, and ironically, the film right before E.T. But like,
And the game that this guy finished up as he starts this one. Fun fact. Did you know
Spoiler
that?
warnings
Or
only
was that
apply.
really good timing?
Spoiler warnings only apply to things that are older than 7 or younger than 7 years.
Agreed. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we don't need a spoiler. If you don't know
But-
this, that's on you at this point.
Do you ever think that like E.T. getting sick was partially like a callback to War of the Worlds when our
I was
air
literally gonna
destroys
say
them?
the same thing. No, I was
Or-
thinking the exact same thing.
or could it be that E.T.'s sickness was what caused COVID?
Oh,
It's a slow.
yeah,
it's a
40
slow
years
burn.
prior.
Takes what, like
It was a
40
slow burn.
years?
yeah, maybe. I was literally thinking about the War of the Worlds thing, and that makes the most sense to me because, like, if you don't go to Earth, we got, like, spores and germs and such around here you probably aren't used to.
Yeah, and humans are icky.
We are icky. We're really icky.
We're just made of dust and
Stardust.
microscopic bugs.
Pretty much.
Where
But
E.T. is made of poop.
Anyways, the film is a smashing success. So with that, let's dive into some facts. So in 1983, E.T. surpasses Star Wars to become the highest grossing film of all time by the end of its theatrical run. It had grossed $359 million in the United States and Canada and $619 million worldwide. Box Office Mojo estimates that the film sold over 120 million tickets in its initial US theatrical run. It had a score of 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. Sorry, it has a score of 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. And Steven Spielberg was even awarded a UN Peace Medal for this movie.
You know, I bet that 1% was from the M&M company.
Probably.
Yeah, they're like,
They were butthurt. And you know what? That's on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The film also is a merchandising success. It's selling dolls. It was selling dolls 15 million units by September of 1982 and becoming the best-selling toy that Christmas season. E.T. went on to generate over $1 billion in merchandise sales by 1998, according to Steven Spielberg's Master of Movie Magic. So this is pretty insane. I mean, we all know how huge Star Wars was, and for a single film to surpass that, that's monumental. So what gets made after a really successful movie? A video game, duh. The E.T. the Extraterrestrial Atari video game, released in 1982, is one of the most infamous titles in the history of gaming, often cited as a key factor in the video game industry's crash of 1983. So the story behind the game, its development, release, and eventual fallout is a cautionary tale about overhyped products, rushed development, and the volatility of the video game market. So let's get on to the development and release of the game. And for my people who produce things from scratch, make art, code, create content, I think it's going to really, really frustrate you, but probably not surprise you that much. So again, the game is based on the 1982 movie, E.T. the Extraterrestrial. The game, developed by Atari, was created with an aggressive timeline. Atari had secured the rights to the game for a reported $20 million, which in today's money is going to be like $65 million. And so that's a really big chunk of change. And they needed to release it in time for the holiday season to capitalize on the film's popularity. Now, I know this is an audio medium, but I want to share with you guys the ad that comes out for this game in 1982. What did it look like? How'd the graphics look, guys?
Green on green on green. Yeah, that's great.
Can't beat the classics.
If you're colorblind, you can't play the game.
Oh, I bet my brother couldn't play that. Sorry, I'm outing my brother. Sorry, brother. You're colorblind. And again, yeah, thanks to FM1156 for having that on YouTube of this piece of history. Wasn't it jolly? Doesn't that make you want to go out and buy the game?
No.
Maybe, no, actually. I'll agree with Chris.
Okay.
I'm not looking at it through a kid's eyes, so, that could be the
That's
issue.
fair. I'm sure it was maybe magical back then, but we're very spoiled now. So, Atari assigned the development of the game to Howard Scott Warshaw, a talented but relatively inexperienced game designer at the time, which I don't see as a huge problem myself. I mean, Disney basically gave their B team The Lion King because they didn't think it was going to be, a smashing success, and look how that turned out. So, Warshaw had previously developed and was just finishing Raiders of the Lost Ark, but he had made before that Yar's Revenge, and both were for Atari. So he gets entrusted with this high-profile game. And those other games, they took about, it was anywhere from 6 months to about a year's worth of work. So yeah, he was new, kind of in the game design world, but he's already producing 2 great games. So he's not just some random guy off the streets, But we need to move backwards a little bit to get to the beginning of this story at the development of the game. So after being approached by the CEO of Atari, Howard is asked to create a presentation for Steven Spielberg of what this game will look like. Howard himself says in his book, "My first thought was, whoa, I've got 36 hours to do the entire design and prepare a presentation for the fastest video game development ever attempted. My second thought is, better have a good dinner tonight, it might need to last me a while." I also want to point out at this time, Howard had only been working for Atari for about a year and a half when he gets this call. So I can't imagine the pressure you'd feel to be asked to make a game that is, fast, and also the literal CEO of the company and Steven Spielberg are asking you. So I don't really think you have the option to say no. Steven Spielberg comes to you and is like, "Chris, I need you to write a pilot episode for the Patient Files in a day."
So if if someone gave me an unrealistic deadline, I would probably be all like, that's not realistic. I have no problem.
Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, I have no problem speaking truth to power. I've done that to.
Oh, not me.
I've done that to bosses before, where they've given me a incredibly unrealistic expectation, and I tell them that they're insane, and that's not going to happen.
So part of what you also have to remember, though, is during this time, this was a build-up to the video game crash. During this time, there were so many games that were being pumped out that it's very akin to something like what you see right now with mobile games or the Steam indie games, where the market's being flooded, so the timelines are going faster and faster and faster. So while this is an incredibly tight deadline, it's not exactly unheard of. It's just this is being applied to.
I think it's a crappy practice.
It's a absolutely horrible process, which, there was a big issue with it.
And let's also be real, game design, even in today's climate, is a little wonky, like with their like crunch time and.
Oh, don't worry. We are going to get
Okay.
into this because, yeah.
But the main thing was they gave this impossible deadline not to just another throwaway game, but to ET.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, a huge seller because ET was a huge game. So 36 hours goes by after this call. Howard is up bright and early to take a fancy flight in a Learjet from Sunnyvale, California to Burbank, California to meet Steven Spielberg in his Warner Brothers Studios office. Howard is accompanied by Atari's CEO, Ray Kasser, Skip Paul, Chief Legal Counsel, and Lyle Raines, the coin-op game engineer. So he's that last one, that's the one making like the arcade game, version of it. Howard says, "We land in Burbank Airport, and once again, just as the plane comes to a halt, another limo pulls up alongside. It's just like in the movies, I think to myself, which makes sense because we're going to meet Steven Spielberg at Warner Studios. This is so cool. I can hardly believe it's a workday. But it is, which makes it even cooler. I'm loving this." Imagine that's your workday. Like, I would feel so glamorous and fancy. And I, in reading his book, they were like, "Oh, would you like the lobster or sushi for your meal on the flight?" And he was like, "Can I have both?"
Yeah, right. I want lobster sushi.
Which I wish my workday looked like that because mine consists of like me being in sweats. I'm hunched over my keyboard and like staring at my two monitors, like sucking down a can of my Monster because I don't drink coffee.
Yeah, that's a vibe.
I like to think of it, if you've ever seen Coraline, when the movie first starts and she's like bugging her dad and he's like just hunched over his little keyboard on his computer and he's like doing his little dirt blog or whatever it is. That's how I feel when I'm working. It's not glamorous doing like research work. I'm like, I don't need to look cute and like fancy to be doing research. Most of the time I'm looking like Adam Sandler.
Okay.
Where he's like in his big baggy shirt, his big shorts and stuff. That's what I'm saying. Not that I'm dressed like Adam Sandler.
I was so confused. I was like, what?
You're like, okay. Shaves head to have Adam Handler. Adam Handler.
This is Adam Hamler.
It's his agent.
Okay, I'm moving on. So the group makes their way to Warner Studios and are waiting to start the meeting. And as he waits, Howard's mind starts to wander, and he thinks to himself, "Wait a minute, why am I here?" He continues, "It occurs to me I don't have an answer. I realize it's because I said yes, of course, but why did Ray call me directly? That's never happened before. This has all been so exciting, I forgot how odd it was. Atari is big on secret culture and back-channel communications. There is always something going on you don't know about. Here's what I didn't know. I was not the first one Ray called about doing the ET game. His first call was to George Kiss, my grandboss, or boss's boss. George is the head of engineering for the Atari home game system, and he told Ray what any sane and knowledgeable person in that situation would. You cannot do a game in 5 weeks. It's simply not enough time. And here too, I think, this person who's like even higher up in the company, than Howard, he's like, absolutely not. That's not doable. Like, he was able to put his foot down, and I have the feeling Howard did not feel like he had that power.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it kind of goes back to what we thought, or what we not thought, but said earlier. Is like, it's sometimes hard to say no in that amount of pressure, and I feel like after having two games under his belt, previous game was okay that he got called back, saying no to this person probably was an end of the career idea for him. He's like, I probably won't be able to get another job after this if I tell Spielberg no.
I don't know. I agree where the mindset is, and I can understand where he's coming from, but I do think that people need to be far more comfortable telling people no, because there's that fear that if you tell someone no, that you're just going to be out and you're going to lose a job and you're never going to have an opportunity again. But you forget they're coming to you for a reason. You know what I mean? They sought him out. So the power dynamic should shift there, where he should be all like, no, I need more than 5 weeks.
And, to me, this basically means the CEO did not like being told no, and he wanted to make money, as a CEO would. And, well, of course. And again, I don't think the CEO cared about the optics. He just wanted to ride the success of the movie, and knowing that the market is just being flooded with video games right now, I think he just wants to keep pumping out games,
Yeah.
He's not making the game, so he doesn't know what it takes.
Yeah.
Well, right now they needed something to have Atari stand out from all of the different consoles that were currently in the market.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There is a lot going on at this time period.
Because my first gaming console was an Atari.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
actually, but also at the time there really wasn't a lot of options. But as soon as more options became available, I absolutely switched out because
What'd you switch to?
I switched to PlayStation. So like because Atari, even when it was the only option available, like as a kid, I remember thinking, like, there has to be something better. Like, not to throw shade at Atari, but also to throw shade at Atari. That's how I felt when I was a kid. And there was literally no other option.
Well, my first game was a PS2, I think. So, yeah.
Pokemon Red, baby. Let's go.
I was a little late to the gaming world.
Mine was Nintendo 64.
Also, though, yeah, I also was born in 1997, so...
Oh God. I am much older than you.
I'm sorry.
How dare you be younger?
I'm sorry for being younger. Yeah, no, my first memorable video game console was a PS2, and then after that, I got the Nintendo DS Lite, which I say is like the gold standard to me of handheld consoles. I feel really bad for Howard, honestly. This timeline to get the game done is like an impossible task. Only 5 weeks to develop the game, which would normally again take several months or even a year to complete. Warshaw was told the game had to be ready for release before Christmas of 1982 to coincide with the film's holiday sales. So he was told it needed to be done by September of 1982 to be ready to sell. Howard is brought into this project late in July, by the way. So imagine you're this guy, you're like kind of new, and you're really excited to get this new design job, and then you're told, oh, by the way, you have a month and a half, basically, to get it done. Good luck. Knowing me, I would say yes because I can't say no. I'm really bad at saying no.
Again, learn how to say no, people.
I tried.
Do it.
I tried.
Okay, you can do some practice right now. Everyone say no.
No.
Yes.
Thank you, Allie. Allie,
Oh,
you got it.
Oh. Okay. I just didn't say anything. And again, to me, this is the crux of the entire issue.
Nah, bro, I could do it in 4 weeks. He's just weak.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. And being from a graphic design background and video production, I can tell you that this game is destined to fail, I think. I think sometimes people, again, who don't work in creative jobs, they don't understand the time that it takes to make something from scratch and make it good,
Lainey, I think that right now you are not being a team player. And maybe if you just applied a little more effort and didn't have such a naysayer attitude, ET would have been successful. Did you ever think about that?
I didn't. I'm sorry. I should have been a good worker.
Yeah,
I should have been a good little cog.
Maybe you should stop with all of this negativity because it's really ruining production.
Yeah, I really feel like
know.
The company isn't your top priority right now.
I'm sorry. I wasn't acting like this company is my family.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what the hell?
I'm sorry. And this also brings me to I'm hoping you guys have heard of it. It's the time cost quality triangle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically it's a triangle. Time, cost, and quality are at each point of this triangle, and you can only pick two. So if you want the product fast and good, it's going to be expensive. If you want it cheap and high quality, the product will be a low priority. And lastly, if you want the product cheap and quick, it's going to be low quality. And I think from this triangle we can, we see where they picked their two.
I don't know, because when you think about it, Atari has a lot of money on them.
So they do, but I had learned too, reading his book, Atari's going through big changes. They get bought by Warner Studios, and the video game industry is super new. It is in its dawn of existing, basically, and they don't really understand how to run a creative company like making video games. It's not the same as, say, I work in, like, I don't know, the stocks or something, like a 9-to-5 job in an office doing tasks repeatedly that, like, you can get it done in this time always.
My opposing opinion on that, video games were new, however, they became slightly easier to make, so everyone was trying to do them as quickly as possible and not putting in the care that was needed.
Well, I think that goes with part of it. They want these results in a very, like, standard company corporate way, and I don't think that's kind of how it works in video games, you know?
You see,
It's
once
different.
again, you just got that negative attitude.
You're right, I'm sorry.
Just be better, obviously.
I know. And Warshaw's experience in creating the game was both hurried and challenging. The development process was rushed to meet the deadline, and Warshaw later admitted that he didn't fully understand how to translate the story of E.T. into a fun, engaging video game. Spielberg even asked if he could make the game more like Pac-Man, and that's not really what we got. And I need to read this passage from Howard's book because it's so snarky and hilarious, and I kind of wish he really did say it to Steven Spielberg. He says, "I finished laying out the design for the E.T. game, and Spielberg thinks for a bit, soaking it in. Then he looks up at me and says, 'Couldn't you do something more like Pac-Man?' My inner world collapses. Something more like Pac-Man? One of the most innovative film directors of all time wants me to make a knockoff? My impulse is to say, 'Gee, Steven, couldn't you do something more like The Day the Earth Stood Still?'"
Oh.
I was like, oh my, I was like, the snark is so real.
Yeah.
But you know, if he made E.T. chasing Reese's Pieces,
That could have been fun.
it
I'm
could
not
have
gonna
been
lie.
fun, and it probably wouldn't have been buried. Oh my god, the ghosts would be the FBI agents chasing him,
Yeah.
and he's just trying to eat his Reese's.
Okay, quick, somebody start making this game.
I see what Steven Spielberg wanted, and I think that if he just stuck to it, he wouldn't have gone down as the man who ruined video games.
Imagine you get all the Reese's Pieces, and then you get this awesome like Atari cutscene of him getting in the bike like basket, and they ride off. The moon scene happens, and then
With
it
the
goes to the
rainbow,
next
yeah.
level. So like
Oh,
that
that
would be
would have
like
been kind of
Oh,
cool.
it'd be cool.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, it could have been a tie-in for Universal Park. Like,
Did that exist yet? I don't know if it did.
well, they have a ET ride where it's like
They
you're
do.
in the
I went on
basket.
it.
Yes, you
Yep.
do that, and you just put it in the movies, or not the movie, the video game. You see, I just really think that Howard could have done
Howard
better.
was not. He was. I think a lot of this too is like pride and ego. Kind
Howard
of
was
coming
not
into
the
this.
guy for this.
He was feeling really high over
Yeah, and he shouldn't
Raiders of the
have.
Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Because also I think he feels really deflated here because this is not his first time meeting with Steven Spielberg because he got to show him Raiders of the Lost Ark and Steven was like, heck yeah, man, love it, like great job. So I think this probably like crushed his soul. And it
Oh.
did.
No.
My inner world collapses. So like he's like, oh.
I just feel like if he spoke to one other person and was just like, bruh, Steven Spielberg wants me to make a Pac-Man ripoff, the dude would have been like, well, yeah, no shit. Why do you think they only gave you 5.5 weeks? Howard reached for the sun. He flew too high and his wings simply melted.
No, I feel like he was brought there. Like he's like it's not Icarus moment, like because that would be his own ambition doing that. It's more like, hey, you got to do this. Okay, what do I got to do? You got to fly close to the sun, Howard.
Now, that's not true. What they said was, we want a Pac-Man ripoff. And what did he say? No. We're going to have a game that's close to the movie. And what did Steven Spielberg tell him? What'd he tell him? He said, nah, bruh. That's not going to be possible, bruh.
I think I'm siding with Steven Spielberg a little bit because you guys are really creating the image and like the vision for me. But I feel bad for him. We're going to keep going. Might I add also that this game does not have any audience testing whatsoever, and that's like a huge red flag to me in anything that's being created because I'm just gonna derail the show. Just like in Joker 2, the movie, that also didn't have audience testing, and I'm very upset with how that movie turned out and how it hurt my beloved Lady Gaga. But I digress. I don't need to go off into a huge rant. Just know, audience testing is extremely important when it comes to content making.
That was a very common problem back then, but I think actually you just proved why Howard was the one at fault.
Because he did an audience test?
Oh no, I'll explain later, but actually no, I won't explain later. So for Joker 2, it was very much mentioned to be a very artistic endeavor. The issue is it should not have been Joker themed. It shouldn't have.
Also, they cut out a lot of Lady Gaga's scenes, and that's what I'm very upset about.
It's just, it wasn't Joker. It wasn't even remotely close to being the Joker that we know and adore. And
well, I'm fine that it wasn't. Like, I'm totally fine with taking a big creative, like, difference. But I don't know. I felt there wasn't a lot going on in Joker 2, which was my issue.
Well, that's just it. Like, you have a preconception for what you expect this character to do, and they just said, nah! And it's like,
I
okay,
just
well, then
wanted
don't
the
make it the
story to
Joker!
move along faster, is what I wanted. I was like, we're spending a lot of time just watching him sit around.
Yeah, it's really a waste of time. Yeah, and that's just like ET.
A waste of time?
The video game was, definitely.
It does sound
That's
like
what
it,
happens
but
when you let creatives not have any limitations. I'm just saying, the corporate world's got some good calls.
I'm feeling very conflicted that we're fighting. I think you're just doing it to get a rise out of me.
Yeah, I think
being
it's
like, yeah,
working.
corporations, even though not 2 episodes ago were we all dogging on corporations.
You see, this is the fun of a speech and debate.
I do feel like
I feel like
Allie is sponsored by like the radium companies right now. Like they reached out to her privately, like, hey, if you could
I will just say
go
this.
pro corporation, please.
If someone was to sponsor me, I would give in so hard for that money. You pay me enough, don't worry. I do have a price tag.
Okay, well, you heard it here,
Wow.
sponsors, if you're listening.
That's true. Next episode, Allie is just going to be like, radium water.
I'm just saying nuclear reactors have not been shown to be what really caused the Chernobyl conflict. If anything, it was error of humanity.
There was too much regulation, actually.
There was too much, so we couldn't, it just,
Anyway. It's limiting creativity. That's all I'm saying.
That's what we want in our nuclear reactors, creativity.
So, Warshaw got to work, plugging away at trying to make something work as fast as he possibly can. He even has a game development system installed at his home so he can continuously work on the game. And in his book too, I remember reading, he was like, I literally almost got in a car accident because like while I was driving to and from work, I'd be thinking about code and like literally not paying attention.
That sounds like a him problem.
Yeah, and I would imagine this poor guy's like barely sleeping too. And I know that we all here have probably worked under seemingly impossible deadlines at one time or another, but this one definitely feels like it's at like that level, but times 10.
Especially if he's not doing a Pac-Man-like game.
Oh, good segue, because we're getting into the premise of the game. The game's mechanics, which focused on E.T. trying to find pieces of a phone to call home, were considered confusing and poorly executed. The character E.T. was controlled by the player as he wandered through a series of pits, which were supposed to represent different locations in the game. He would also travel through forests and cities. He could also find useful items like Reese's Pieces that would restore his energy. So they are in there, but they're not how we were hoping they would be. You could change the difficulty levels too, which would dictate how fast ET could move and how many enemies there would be. Players had to avoid government agents and scientists who try to capture ET and take away the phone pieces that you had collected. ET could also call Elliot for help, who would provide items or assist in escaping enemies. Once all the phone pieces were collected, players would then guide ET to the designated spot to call or phone home to a spaceship. Then players were to take ET to the landing zone before a timer ran out. Once he made it, the game basically would just start over and you could play again. So the only way to end the ET game is if he ran out of energy or the player simply decided to just stop playing. And it sounds kind of underwhelming in my opinion. The controls are clunky, the gameplay was often criticized for being repetitive, overly difficult, and not particularly engaging. It sounds not that fun, and I've heard whatever these pits are, they're very hard to figure out. Oh, and I have another fun fact. This was officially the very first game to ever have an Easter egg in it, being that Warshaw asked Atari to put Easter eggs in, and they said yes.
So now, think of this, though. So this is the first game that has Easter eggs, but it has such a tight deadline. And all Steven Spielberg wanted was Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Again, I do think this is slight ego here.
I'm just saying, the more and more we go through it, it sounds like it's Howard's fault.
I mean, okay, so I definitely agree with you when it comes to, like, hey, I want Pac-Man, and Howard's like, that's not what I want to do. You know, but it's like, okay, but we're paying you to make Pac-Man.
You could have pushed back. I mean, they had a little back and forth, but eventually Spielberg was like, okay, do it.
Well, he's probably thinking, tick-tock, my guy. You got, like, 5 weeks at this point. Like, okay, if you're really determined to set yourself up for such a hard fall, I ain't gonna stop you. I got other movies to make.
Oh, also, I want to point out, too, that I'm a little jealous of Spielberg, so every time that he made a game, so Howard made, Raiders of the Lost Ark, that Steven Spielberg would get, like, a personalized cartridge with his name, engraved in it, and when he would, like, start up the game, it would be like, welcome, Steven. And now I'm jealous about that. I'm like, I want a video game that's, like, says my name in it. So, we get to the game is getting released. What was the game's reception? Despite the enormous anticipation due to the film's success, the ET game was widely panned upon release. Critics and players alike were very disappointed with the poor graphics, confusing objectives, and lack of excitement in the gameplay. The game was rushed, incomplete in many respects, and failed to capture the magic of the beloved film. And I took some time to look through some old video game magazines from the 80s, and it seemed the general consensus was definitely that it felt like it was made for little kids and not teens and adults, with TV Gamer of 1983 saying, "A game based on that lovable little character from the smash hit film E.T., despite the fact that it was designed with the help of director Steven Spielberg, it isn't up to much. Adventure buffs will probably cringe at this game as well as older E.T. fans, but younger gamers seem to enjoy it." And Joystick Magazine of 1983 stating, "Unfortunately, Atari's graphics haven't seemed to improve much with age. They're still blocky and bland. Basically, the gameplay of the ET cartridge would seem to be geared toward the 6 to 11-year-old crowd. Thus, if you're an older or more serious video gamer, you should avoid this cartridge." So it's like bad after another.
Yeah, it's like here, we want to give it to kids who won't think about the game.
Yeah, and then I found an interview actually with Warshaw, and it's really interesting, and here's a little segment of it from Video Games Magazine Volume 1, Number 5 of February 1983. "My strategy was to create several discrete characters, each with its own behavior and good enough graphics so that you would believe it's them. From the beginning, Steven told me he wanted Elliot to have a strong part in the game, so I gave him the role of saving E.T. Steven and I communicate on a conceptual level. He gives me some very helpful ideas. For instance, when E.T.'s on low energy, Elliot brings him some more. That was Steven's idea. The straightforwardness of the script and E.T.'s simple goal to phone home made for a smooth transition. I'm very happy about E.T., he reports, because it's a game that almost defies description. It's not a kiddie game or an adult game. It could be played by anyone who has the time to enjoy it. It is a non-violent game. Nobody gets killed and nobody dies."
So the funny part to me really quick about this is it's not a game for kids or adults.
Who is it for?
It's not a game.
Literally.
It's not a game at all. Steven Spielberg gave me some really helpful advice. Like when he told me to make Pac-Man instead.
And, Warshaw's advice to film-to-game translators: don't see the movie too much. Remember your prime objective, which is to relate the game to the movie, not emulate it, and always think in terms of gameplay. So, what he's saying and what we got feels like two different things.
That's kind of where you stop, tilt your head at a 45-degree angle, and squint real hard at him and be like, "Hey, Howard.
Huh?
Yeah. I don't know if I want advice from the dude who is known for making the worst fucking game in history."
To be fair, he doesn't get this title until the dawn of the internet. I do want to point that out.
I kind of said what I said.
Well, yes.
And also, especially back then, and it hasn't gone away, obviously, but men's egos, they'll just look at something that they did and be like, it is the best thing ever, and everyone else is like, it's not. But their egos are so high.
I do think a lot of ego plays into this. But
yeah. And that's coming from me. And everyone knows here I have a massive ego. But I have a cute ego.
I would say this, you do
adorable.
have an ego, but you're willing to listen to be like, hey, what about this? Or you
Yeah, I think I play on my ego as a bit.
I do think you do that as well, yes.
Yeah,
he will listen to you, but in his mind he's already like, no, I'm right. Your answer's wrong, but I'll let you talk because
absolutely.
Okay,
yeah,
I'm noting
yeah,
that.
totally.
Good to know. All right.
I'm not gonna take away people's right to be wrong.
Well, okay.
No, just as a white man, you are historically known to be taking rights.
It's really funny because I'm really
I was gonna say,
white passing.
I was like,
but
aren't
I'm
you, like,
mostly
not
Native
white?
American. No, I'm not. But I am very white passing, so I still have that white privilege. You know what I mean?
So, in addition to the negative reviews, the game at first actually sold decently well, with 2.6 million copies sold at the end of 1982. But almost...
This is why reviews are important.
Yes. Almost 700,000 cartridges were returned in 1983.
Can I say the fun fact about that?
Yeah.
So, when people were buying the ET game, the trash that it was created by Howard, who thought that he was doing something there, it was selling for $50.
Ooh, in 1982 money?
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And
oh my God.
The people that were returning it at the very end ended up costing Atari, I think it was $100 million. Because by the time that it was like at the end of its life cycle, when they were like, all right, we're done, we're not making these anymore, it was selling for less than $1.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
So that's a massive chunk of returns. And this kind of makes me think of, like, what was it, Fallout 24, that, like, just came out in, like, recently. And when I say recently, like, within the last couple of years, and, like, everybody just hated it. And I think they were just adding it when you bought a PS5 in the end to, like, giving it away.
I'm gonna.
Which
Was
I'm
it Fallout 24?
76.
76,
That's
sorry.
where I was cringing. I was like, it's not 24.
I'm sorry.
What?
Careful, you're about to.
Okay,
I'm so sorry, Fallout. I'm so very sorry.
I do want to.
I'm gonna flip
Oh
shit
my
now.
God.
I do want to bring this up. It is a good game now. So one thing that is a
debatable.
double-edged blade. It's better than what it was. A double-edged blade today is patching. You know, a game that can be crap can get better now because we can patch it.
But I don't like that practice.
But like I said, it's a double-edged blade because that encourages companies to release unfinished games. You know, so but 76 was unplayable. At least now it is playable. Like my roommate loves it, plays it, tries to get me to get it. I have not got it, so I cannot actually attest on whether it's good or not.
I want to say we literally might have it, but it's like collecting dust somewhere in my basement.
Yeah, all I know is it's just like it was unplayable when it came out. Like everyone hated 76.
I would say that 76 was the game where years after it had released, they announced that they would finally be adding NPC.
Oh,
Yeah.
And
wait,
people
they didn't have
cheered
NPCs?
like this. It had no NPCs
Huh?
except for computers and notes because, well, the players are going to be the new economy. And it's like, wow, that's not how you make a game.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, it was.
They've really fallen from grace because wasn't Fallout, like, it was really big, like,
It still,
in the 2010s.
it still is. It still is. Like the main titles and the main games are still great. People still play them today. Like if they dropped a new main title, it would. It's just 76.
Was that like a side quest
attempt,
game or something?
It was their attempt to break into the MMO world.
MMOs are so very hard to do right.
Yes.
Well, they were doing that with Elder Scrolls too. And oh my God. Well, no, have you seen the recent stuff for them? The new commercials? Oh, it's such trash. It's Fortnite.
Yeah, I have. Okay, so I have played actually most recently in the last like month or so. ESO. Like, it's a playable game. It's fun. It's cute. I don't think that it's like huge time sink. And if you love ESO, you can come for me in the comments. But like, it's okay. In terms of MMO, like it's okay, but it's not. It didn't blow my mind. It's not something I could invest my life into. You know what I mean?
I think
As an
MMOs
MMO
are
should be.
very hard. I don't know why nobody can seem to make like a really solid one.
Realm Reborn, Final Fantasy, amazing.
I would
MMO.
try that.
Amazing.
I'm trying to think, like, I want an MMO to be like, I want to interact with everything, which I realize is extremely hard to do. That's a lot of work. And I think who promised it? It was Amazon when they made their first game. I can't remember what it was called. new age or something. I don't know. They ruined it. They messed with the economy. They just go away, Amazon.
All I know is that where Chris says, if you love ESO, don't come for him. All I'm going to say is ESO is trash and you should feel bad if you like it. Come for
No,
me.
I said, I know, I didn't say don't come for me. I said come for me. Yeah, like me and Allie, we will absolutely
get out in the boxing ring, duke it out.
let's
I'll
go.
fight you. I don't mind. Let's go.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will state right now, when it comes to gaming, I have incredibly low standards for what I like. In fact, everybody just like trashes on me. It's like, how could you like this? Well, I had fun. That's not a good game, but I had fun. I kind of liked it.
You'd be the one person in the corner saying ET wasn't that bad of a game.
I probably would have played this game for like the ET game for like 2 hours and be like, okay, it wasn't that bad.
Oh god.
Like, I'd be like, I gave it a good shot. Which, by the way, everyone, I found it.
Like an emulator?
No, even better. You can play it in the browser. But do not click on that
okay,
link
I won't, because we're in the middle of the
listeners.
show.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah, but it is very loud.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Please. Okay.
I'm going to do
Oh,
it.
God.
I
didn't hear it. Okay. So, anyways, there's about 4 million cartridges made for this game. And you want to know how many were fully shipped back? It's bad. It's really bad.
Oh no, okay. All of them.
3.5 million were either unsold copies or the returned copies.
Oh.
It's bad.
Oh no! They manufactured the 5 million, but only sold the 1.5. Those don't even count for the returned
Oh my
ones.
God.
Oh god.
That's bad.
Yeah, no,
like
it's much worse.
astronomically bad. Like, I don't know if it can
Yeah,
get
they
worse
got
than
even
that.
more got.
But also,
It was
again,
bad.
now I want to own one. So, like, husband, if you're listening to this, shout out. I'm, like, doing, like, peace signs, like, as if he can see me doing this on video. But, like, hey, great Christmas present idea for me. Now I'll know. If he gets it for me for Christmas, I'll know he listened to this.
And then you get it just so you can return it.
No.
That would be hilarious.
God, that
No,
would
kidding.
be very funny, though. Like, that would be a good bit. And I live for a good bit. But, okay. Unfortunately, the game quickly became a commercial failure and a financial failure too. A really big failure. The failure of ET exacerbated an already shaky situation for Atari. The company had flooded the market with too many video game consoles and games, contributing to a handful of other low-quality titles. ET's poor reception became symbolic of the problems plaguing the video game industry at the time. It looks like during this time too, Atari was dealing with at least one lawsuit from my research, so like they have multiple things going on at this point. And I also think not only was Atari pumping out games, but there's other game companies pumping out things, but like they're just flooding the market with crap, you know? And I want to point out too what Howard Warshaw himself believes is wrong with the game. From his book, he states, "Overall, I believe the ET video game is a solid, playable game done in record time."
Liar! You fell in a pit and you can't get out, Howard!
You gotta start off with a PR. I'm not gonna say that I hate it, but...
Okay, he does clarify a little. He says, "That said, I do not think the game is flawless by any means. It has plenty of real problems, chief among them being the fact that many people don't like the game. I never argue with player opinions. If someone doesn't like a game, that's the truth, and I don't try to convince them otherwise." I think this is fair. Everyone in a creative role in life knows this to ring true. You can't make everybody happy. It's just not possible. Some people will always not like or be displeased with whatever you create, and that just kind of comes.
How do you get out of the pit, Howard?
I don't know. I do know that apparently Steven Spielberg also had trouble getting out of the pits.
You can't get out of them, Howard!
The pit's just, it's so confusing to me.
It's
just the idea of that.
I think it's confusing, and Allie's really, I hate to be kind of siding with the opposition, but I'm kind of venturing that way.
That's all I can say. Oh, it's perfectly playable. It wasn't that bad of a game. How the fuck do you get out of the pit then, Howard?
He continues to say, "In my mind, the single biggest problem is committing the fundamental sin of video games. Thou shalt not disorient the player. Please do not confuse this with frustration. Disorientation and frustration are very different emotions. Frustration is knowing what I'm trying to do but feeling unable to do it. Disorientation is feeling completely lost as to where I am or what's happening. Frustration is seeing the cookie but I can't reach it. disorientation is stepping into the kitchen for a cookie and finding I'm in the garage. So, like, I think that's a really perfect thing to, like, sum that up, because that seems to be how everybody felt. So, his next critique is that the game violates Nolan's Law, which, if you don't know what that is this. All the best games are easy to learn and difficult to master. They should reward the first quarter and the 100th. And that's coined by Atari's founder, Nolan Bushnell. Which I think that's a really good, like, law to live by, I guess, you know? And he also states that what was produced was the first playable version of the game, which again basically means it's your first draft. You can play the bare bones of the game, but there's no bells and whistles. And this is where developers can run through the game, you know, and see what needs to be tweaked and or added / removed. But that didn't happen for this game. He made it playable, and that was it. And that would be like me, like, you know, writing this script for the first time and being like, I did it, I'm completely done, and it's ready. But let me tell you, this script would end up being several pages shorter if that was the case. So it's important to revise your work, and Howard didn't really get to do that. I do think it's interesting. He said that, like, ET felt very hard to create a video game for, whereas Raiders of the Lost Ark felt very much like I can easily make this into a video game.
Yeah. Can we back up and talk about how in the beginning he said that ET is a solid game, minus the fact that it can't fulfill the core rules of a video game? It's like, it's a solid video game, except for it disorients you,
No,
it
you don't.
violates
It's not
Nolan's Law.
Yeah.
It's a novel. It's a story. It's a good story.
What's the story?
Pits.
It's a solid book, but it doesn't have any pages or words in it.
It's got paper.
It has a cover. It's got blank pages, which, by the way, revolutionary.
I'm just going to say your story is a little perturbing, as it starts off involving aliens, and then halfway through it turns into a spicy romance, and then it ends with the Cookie Monster reading me off a thesaurus.
Okay, well, the first two parts actually
Perfect.
sound kind
It's
of
my kinda game.
I was gonna say,
I'm
like,
like
the
kind of
first two
down for
parts
the
I
first
can
two
dive,
parts.
dive with an alien romance.
Well, no, the spicy romance involves a clown and a welding torch.
You don't know what people are into, Allie. Let's not judge here.
But where'd the alien go?
Phoned home. Or he's in one of the pits.
Oh, God.
And, you know, before we move on, do you wish, and we kind of talked about this already, but do you wish that
Yes.
games that were made, they're sent out and that's it? This is the finished product. Do you wish games were like that? How they used to be?
I like the patching, but I like what it could become, not what it is. I don't like what it encourages. It encourages so many games to come out unfinished, but I do like the idea of being able to patch a game if it comes out and people are like, hey, I have a small issue, my game keeps glitching here. And the developers can be like, oops, we fucked up in the code. Let's just go ahead and boop, fix for you. Sorry, bestie. That's cool. That's a cool, like, ease of life,
Yes.
like, functionality.
And all of this leads me to the video game crash of 1983. The failure of ET is often cited as a significant factor in the video game crash, which is a catastrophic event that caused the collapse of the American video game industry. And because there was an oversaturation of video game consoles and software on the market, and many of these products, including ET, were of poor quality. The crash led to a sharp decline in the revenue generated by the video game industry, with Atari, once the dominant company in the market, suffering particularly severe losses.
Do you know how sharp that crash was?
I think it almost wiped out video games because they're like, oh, this was a fad.
They went from a it was a $3.2 billion collapse. So it destroyed.
And that was 1982 money.
Yeah. So it was a 97% collapse.
Holy moly. I don't know, has any other company done that? Been so high up and fallen that sharp? Enron? Did they? I don't know that story enough. I should probably.
But I mean,
look it up.
that's like why now you only really have the traditional.
Why we have
three.
like the big three now.
Yeah.
That's basically, yes, I was about to say.
The big
that-
three being PlayStation, Xbox, and PC.
Nintendo.
Well, Nintendo.
Okay, I was gonna say, are we forgetting Nintendo?
No. Don't worry. I'm getting to
Okay.
it. I did a lot of homework for this episode.
I'm excited. We're talking about video games, so
It's very fun.
I
love video game and tech history, thanks to my husband. I did not know I was missing out on this part of history. So again, this is basically where the diversity of gaming consoles and company die off. And by no means was this all Atari's fault. They were just one of the giants at the time who were part of the huge downfall and the dawn of the video game industry, basically. Atari's financial troubles deepened after the failure of ET, and the company was eventually sold off by Warner Communications. Atari's downfall, in part, was due to overextending itself with overpriced hardware, rushed software, and a lack of quality control, all of which made it difficult to compete in an increasingly competitive market. I also think a large portion of the issue here is, again, upper management and the higher-ups in the video game companies being like, get it done, blah, blah, we want it done now, we want the money, you know? But, like, they don't care about the video game developers, the designers, and anyone else who is truly working on the game. They just want to see the results.
I think it was Howard's fault.
I don't think it was all Howard's fault.
I do think that Howard got, from what I know so far, because I don't know, I'm learning this as you explain it to me.
Yeah.
I think that Howard is the primary problem because he could have just done what was asked, like what they were trying to get him to do. Which
yes,
is to do
I do agree.
But I do see your point where you're coming from, where CEOs are just like, hey, where can we, make the most money and cut?
Because this is still happening now.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I see where the companies are at fault. I'm not going to stick up for them. They can stick up for themselves, whatever.
Yeah.
But, no, Howard, girl. We need to sit down and have a chat. Like,
I think he bit off
Howard,
more than he could chew.
You done goofed.
You did. And so, through the rest of, the 80s and stuff, video games as an industry is literally hanging on by a thread. That is, until Nintendo entered the US market in 1985 with the release of the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES, which would go on to help revive the video game industry.
And then came the Nintendo-Sega War.
Dun, dun, dun!
Is that, I'm sorry, that's where my research, I didn't read more in Nintendo because I think it's fascinating.
Oh yeah,
that's
its whole other story
episode,
of Sega versus Nintendo and how Sega attempted to take down Goliath.
Whose side were you on, Allie, when that happened?
I wasn't born yet.
Oh God, I'm just really ancient.
When were you born?
You know what? So anyways, let's move on. What's the...
Oh God, wait, if you got the Atari system.
Old enough.
I'm
old enough.
What are you talking about? I'm like 21. Shut up.
No, I don't think that's true.
Totally. Mm-hmm. So yes, this is all very sad. But let's jump into the exciting part, the funeral. And I don't know what was going on.
Wait, what?
Now we're out of the funeral. It was a funeral of sorts, a secret funeral, but I don't know what was going on with me, like, when I was picking topics to originally write about, because apparently funerals for non-living things was very entertaining.
I mean, it is, but also I love the idea of a secret funeral, so...
Secret funeral.
Thank you, Dalton. That's what went into my head, too.
You're welcome.
I don't know what that reference is, I'm so sorry.
Secret tunnel, Avatar?
What, guys?
Secret tunnel, secret tunnel.
Can I?
Secret
tunnel.
Hold on, wait.
Admit something?
If you're gonna admit what I think you are,
no.
I watched maybe 5 episodes of the first 5 episodes of Avatar.
Yeah, I'm done. Goodbye.
We know what we're doing this summer.
I quit the podcast.
No, you guys have the wrong mentality on this. It's like, we know what we're doing this summer. Like, damn, guys.
You have not mansplained my mentality to me.
All I know, honestly, Aang's a little annoying, just like Ash Ketchum, and so is Sokka, the brother.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Oh, okay.
Is this bad? Am I, losing us viewers right now?
I don't even know who you are anymore. I feel like by learning more about you in this very moment, I have actually lessened myself as a person.
Wow.
Well, maybe eventually I can win back some of your person.
I don't think I want you to.
Oh, okay. Well, guys, this is the end of the show. Thanks for watching. Guess we're never posting another episode. You'll never find out what happened.
That's it.
Hold on, we're not Howard Warshaw.
No, yeah, we gotta finish it out and make something good here. So, let's get on to it. In 1983, in an effort to dispose of unsold copies of the game, Atari allegedly buried thousands of ET cartridges in a landfill in Alamogordo, New Mexico. This event, which became the stuff of legend and was often mentioned in connection with the game's failure, was largely forgotten about until the late 2000s. In 2014, a documentary film called Atari Game Over was released, which investigated the story behind the ET game and the supposed burial of its cartridges. The filmmakers, along with a team of archaeologists, went to the Alamogordo site to excavate the landfill, and in an event that captured the public's imagination. The exploration dig began on April 24th, 2014 at the landfill, so they basically needed to confirm the spot they were in was the place that they needed to be at, because apparently there's quadrants. I don't exactly know how people do landfills when they throw away stuff, but you can literally figure out dates where when things were buried, I guess. So that's how this first started. They gotta find the correct spot. Where they think the time period is that all this trash was buried. And this didn't happen overnight. Obviously, the crew of the documentary actually spent 3 to 4 years preparing, researching, jumping through legal hoops to actually be able to do the dig. The documentary goes on to show what exactly they're looking for that might indicate that they're onto something. Because at this point, it's basically still a legend and it's not confirmed if the games were actually buried here. I also want to point out, Howard is with everyone here. He's literally digging up his past. And it's 30 years later. He's back to literally dig up his past. And they eventually dig up a newspaper showing the date of September of 1983. And this confirms they're at least digging in the correct area. On to the next day, April 25th. The excavation began again. Everyone is super tense and incredibly nervous, because they don't know if they're going to find these games or if all they're going to find is a bunch of trash, which, well, they are. They're literally digging in the trash, and it's a landfill after all. And they dig the whole day, and unfortunately turn up nothing. But they aren't ready to give up just yet. So on to April 26th, they begin the extraction. Howard and his wife are anxiously watching as the dig continues, but they weren't the only ones. A huge crowd actually formed to watch this. The film crew is even interviewing people in the crowd, and I had to add this. There's this little kid, waiting in the crowd, and they ask him how it was playing the game because he had played it the night before, and he says, "It was awesome."
It sucked.
No, well, kind of, actually. He says, "It was awesome because, in my opinion, I like terrible games." And I was like, oh my god.
You think about that, Howard.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, okay, savage kid. So, the crowd that gathered was there to witness video game history and see for themselves if this was urban legend or something more than just a legend. Everyone is waiting on bated breath, and the wind begins to pick up into a sandstorm as the crew dug deeper. Suddenly, the crew gathers the crowd around them as they have an announcement to make. Over the microphone, the director of the documentary states that they have just found the first evidence that they might be onto something big. A piece of an Atari 2600 joystick. Now, this was a surface find, which means someone walking around the dig site happened to see this on the surface of the ground. Was this a coincidence? Or was this piece possibly blown out of the big hole from the strong winds? The crowd excitedly looked on. The hopeful dig crew continued to search on for another while longer. But their optimism slowly started to fade after finding no other evidence of Atari pieces or games. It was looking bleak. But suddenly, someone from the crew yells out, "Shit, do you see what I see? Joe, what is that right there?" The crew began to bring buckets to the archaeology table to sift through piles of trash and dirt in hopes of finding the next clue. After a short bit, the microphone is turned back on, and a crew member speaks into it. "Can everybody hear me? We found something. The archaeologists have confirmed it's from 1983. 28 feet down. It's ET the video game intact in its box." The crowd erupts in joyous screams, whistles, and applause. the legend was finally confirmed.
Yeah. Yay, they
I'm narrating, I watched the documentary, so like I just am like writing as I'm watching it happening, and I'm like waiting on bated breath because I really didn't know that much about the story. Like I didn't know what was about to go on. And so I'm like screaming and cheering at my screen as I'm like watching and typing along because I'm like hoping, I'm hoping they find it for Howard's sake at this point.
Just imagine, you're Howard Warshaw. The thing that pretty much ended your game career it could be right in front of you.
And it was.
And it was. And he has to look at it and go, people are cheering for this. I don't know how to feel right now. It's definitely...
Oh, he starts crying.
He starts crying. But the fact that they also kind of just confirmed that they just dumped his game in a landfill.
Oh, yeah, they just secretly dumped it.
He's like, wow, okay, you could have just burned it. Like, damn.
Hey, global warming.
Yeah, probably shouldn't burn it, yeah.
Well, I think they did this because even having to get rid of, like, break down games or burn them or whatever, it still costs money. So I'm like, I think they were like, let's bury it. Like, that was probably the cheapest option, I'm assuming. But, so... Again, that whole part comes from the documentary Atari Game Over. If you want to watch that, there's so much more in that. I just covered the tiniest bit from it, the big part. And, the excavation was seen as a metaphor for the way in which the failure of E.T. was buried in the annals of video game history. Howard talks about what this moment to him felt like in his book. He states, "As impossible as I thought it to be, the games were there. It made no sense. But when you expect things to make sense, you're losing touch with Atari. It was a glorious affirmation of just how crazy Atari was, and that's what made Atari so incredible. It was a hotbed of abject excess that could never last and could never be replaced. The Atari I knew and loved evaporated in 1984, and soon thereafter I left. But where do you go after an experience like that? Apparently, you wind up in a sandstorm in a dump in the desert."
And nothing of value was lost.
I mean, I think he gained valuable insight into his emotions here, probably. Because, again, he's young. He's 25 when all of this takes place, when the game comes crashing.
25 in 1983 was like the equivalent of being 42.
I suppose you're right.
Yeah, I mean, okay, just the fact, can we talk about how he became a therapist? Can we just...
Yeah.
I can imagine that, like, imagine you're his patient and you're like, hey, didn't you almost ruin all the video games?
No, and like somebody, when like he started getting like hate mail and stuff like after E.T. came out, and somebody was like, you should become a therapist so you can deal with all your patient's trauma from how terrible this game was for their Christmas.
It was a
somebody
long
said
con
that
all
to him.
along. He was like, I'm going to make a horrible
con.
video game, I'm going to ruin people, and then I'm going to become a therapist and cash in on that therapy money. Yeah. Maybe Howard is secretly a genius.
He might be. Who knows, man? And though E.T. was a commercial disaster, the game's troubled development and its fallout have become a part of video game lore. Howard Scott Warshaw, despite the failure of the game, has since become a sympathetic figure in the gaming community. I think people feel bad for him because his name really did get dragged through the mud as like, this is the one guy, the only guy, he ruined it all. That's not the case. Granted, he made a terrible game that, again, opened the floodgates.
And honestly, isn't that enough to ask for him to cease?
I mean, he did cease. He ceased after this game. He did not make any more.
Yeah, but now he's a therapist. It almost comes down to like,
well, he's probably not talking about it.
A white man needs to fully accept the fact that his failure was so bad he destroyed an entire industry before he realizes, maybe this isn't for me. I'll try therapy.
I kind of want a Howard, 2, where he then crashes the therapy market.
Oh, that would be so
fun.
That would be good.
That's when you realize it's not companies that are the problem, it's Howard.
Right. How much are you getting paid, Allie? How do I get... Howard. I think I called you Hallie. Sorry, I was thinking of Howard at the same time. How much are you getting paid by big corporations here, and what is the price, and how can I be sold?
Well, with that attitude, I'm afraid they are no longer interested.
Aww.
See, why do you think I've been on Allie's side this entire time?
Okay, because you're trying to cash in too. Got it.
Yep.
And, Howard, he has spoken openly about the pressures of the project and his frustration with the unrealistic expectations placed on him. He even revisited the game in later years. He did express some pride in the fact that it remains a significant part of video game history, even if it's the worst video game ever made. And, again, he was dragged through the mud. Like, people were hating on him. And again, it was not all of his fault.
But Steven Spielberg wanted Pac-Man.
He did want Pac-Man.
It was already there, Howard.
Steven Spielberg asked for Pac-Man. Just give him
Here's the thing that I'm trying to say is, it is kind of a prime example of where ambition doesn't meet realism. You know what I mean? Like, he knew his timeline.
We didn't need the Easter eggs, man.
He knew his timeline was only 5 weeks. And yet he decided to go for basically a full-feature, full-length game instead of something arcadey and fun. Because even if he was against doing a Pac-Man knockoff, he should have walked away from that meeting knowing they want something arcadey, they want something that's just shiny lights, and something that you can, like, you could throw into the home, but you could also throw into an arcade and call it a day. And he decided to try to make a whole storyline and, like, multiple zones. Yeah. No.
And he failed. But, like, the best way to almost put this into common terms that I think many listeners would be able to relate to is, as a creative, we'll go back to, like, the drawing reference. So if I say, I have the money, I'm going to pay for a sketch of my cat, and you come back and you give me the equivalent of a full body Gundam with angelic wings and the seraphim behind it, and the lines are all scriggly, and that definitely isn't the main Gundam. That is very clearly a Chinese knockoff. And then you say, I did good, right? You're proud? Money, please. I'm gonna be like,
yeah, no, I mean, it kind of goes into that same thing too, but he, as also the creator, should have realized the time constraints he was working with versus his ambition. Like, if he's like, hey, I want to do a good ET game, first knock the first one out of the park. You know what I mean? And then when they come to you again to make something, you can then pitch.
Because they will.
Yeah, exactly. You can then pitch, hey, I had an idea. I kind of want to do another ET game that's more full feature. But I'm going to need 6 months.
I could see that.
Like, he just rushed, and he just had this idea that he wanted to do, and he was riding that high from his previous game, and so he was thinking, I'm amazing.
I think he was, because Raiders of the Lost Ark, literally, he's finishing it up as he starts this. So, like, he's already riding the high of, like, Steven Spielberg loves my work. I can do no wrong, the folly of man.
What's this? Am I seeing Lainey come to the dark side?
Maybe.
Come over.
I tried.
We have cookie.
What kind?
It's one cookie.
Oh, and we have to share it?
Yeah, but it's from Crumble. Yeah,
so it's like a
really big
which one?
Yeah.
It's the one you want.
How about this?
Yeah, sure. Whatever. Churro.
Just come over here. Just come over here. There's a cookie.
Starting to feel creepy. So, while E.T. is often remembered as one of the worst games of all time, it also serves as an important lesson about the dangers of overhyping products, which I don't think we've learned anything from at all. Even in 2025, we're still doing the same stuff. Because again, I said it before, we all remember the hype of No Man's Sky, we remember the hype of Cyberpunk 2077, that was crap, and the infamous Star Citizen, which were all huge letdowns and maybe even scams, because I want to look further into Star Citizen, because I think that could be an episode on its own. Or, and they become memes because of how overhyped they were, and the importance of quality control, which we also struggle with, and the risks of rushing development, which we also still struggle with. So did we really learn anything? I don't think so.
I never learned things.
Well, we definitely, as people, as humans, didn't learn anything. And I think the general consensus is essentially E.T. the extraterrestrial video game was the straw that broke the camel's back and opened the floodgates for everything to come crashing down until Nintendo kind of saves the day, essentially. And that's the end of this story. What do you guys think?
I think justice was served. I think there was a crime against video game
It didn't look good. It really didn't. And like, again, I didn't grow up in that time period, so I don't know how good Atari games from the 80s were supposed to look, but like that one didn't
So
look
again,
good.
I will reiterate what I said in the beginning, which is I had an Atari, and the moment that something else came along, I switched. You know what I mean? Like Atari was not.
So I think it
great
was just like the
anyway.
first thing, and you were gonna leave to get
Exactly.
something better.
So, and maybe
Maybe the gateway like drug into
yeah,
video
it showed me
games.
the potential of what games could be, but I never took Atari seriously.
I wonder if that is a common sentiment held again, like with
Other
amongst
old
other
people?
Atari
Yeah.
players. I didn't say
Yeah,
old
you
people.
were
I was saying
thinking it.
people
You
who
were
played
thinking
Ataris.
it.
I did not say it. Let it be known. It is on the record. I did not call Chris.
I'll do it.
Well, for as much fun as it was to shit on Howard and his desire to go above and beyond and touch the sun, it really is not E.T.'s fault that the bust happened. It really came down to a lot of industrial issues within the video game industry itself. I mean, you had the market oversaturation and the console competitions. You had all of these third-party developers where in 1982 Consumer Electronics Show, 17 companies announced a combined 92 Atari games. Like, that is insane. And even from that too, there were so many like consoles that having brand loyalty just wasn't a thing. Yeah, consumers had no trust in video games because for every one good one, you had literally hundreds that were absolute garbage. And finally, it just came down to that enough was enough.
But like, also going back to what Lainey said, did we learn anything? No, because we're still encountering the same problem. And even though we're like 5 weeks is crazy to finish a game, I mean, look at one of the Silent Hills where basically the production got handing off to different teams, and the end product the company it landed on basically had 2 months. And surprise, surprise, that specific Silent Hill didn't do well.
Although I could say the same thing, granted I think it took longer, but like Silent Ape, he's the sole guy who made Stardew Valley, and like that's a beloved game, you know?
He was a sole person. When you start involving CEOs and other companies that don't understand the artistic process, but then you also have a bunch of artists who don't understand the money aspect of it, like, and you don't have someone to marry those two ideas, you're going to get issues. You know, and you end up with like ridiculous crunch times and ridiculous expectations and over ambition. Not to be that guy, but there's still a huge issue with women being involved, and they're just it's so hard to break in.
Yeah, they're too involved.
Yeah, that's my stance. No, no, I'm kidding.
Vaginas all over the keyboards and everything.
Yeah,
those hussies.
Like, I'm okay if they want to like stay in the break room and maybe make up snacks or whatever, but
yeah, right. And don't they have like a period? Don't they have to be out for like an entire week of work in order to take care of that?
Yeah. God, I wish.
I've heard that they can actually choose not to have theirs.
Yeah, I heard the same thing.
Oh, I wasn't choosing.
Why can't you just choose to have your period next week?
I gotta focus harder. But to finish this episode up, you know, ET for Atari is remembered not only, again, as a poorly executed game, but it's a symbol of the industry's growing pains. And I think maybe we're still kind of doing that. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you had fun and maybe even learned something. If you want to hear more of our voices, you can always check out the Patient Files over wherever you listen to, you know, your podcasts at. Written, again, by Chris and Dalton. You can check out Allie at Wicked Encounters on TikTok and YouTube. And if you want to check out me, you can follow me at Pink Possibly on YouTube. All right, everybody, I guess that wraps it up. Let's say bye.
Bye.
Take care. See you.
Bye. Don't actually support your job because as soon as you die, they'll find someone else to replace you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Don't work too hard.